Well, there's something missing from down there, my belt, and as you can see there's a mark on top of that hydro pulley, and that one don't want to spin, but the alternator's fine, so I need one of them. Okay, yesterday I was driving along, and all of a sudden behind me I thought we had Flying Scotsman, but no, my tensioner pulley here, can you see this? It should turn and it doesn't want to turn anymore. I thought my alternator had seized up and taken the belt out, but no, it's the tensioner pulley that's gone. So a new one's been ordered by the power of eBay, and a new alternator has been ordered, but I've gone for the, stop messaging me, I've gone for the bigger 150 amp alternator, which doesn't fit that mounting bracket, so some adaptation will have to be made to wedge it in there, and then a new belt will have to go on, and I don't know the size of the belt that I'm going to need, because with the new alternator it may be a few mil further out from the engine, being a chunkier alternator, so I'll need a few more mil on the belt, so I'm going to be stuffed. Another thing I've found is when you've no power steering, if you try turning the wheel it all backs up to the tank. Not good, and as you can see that steering fluid's not good to start with. It must have been in there since it come out at factory. So time to get that tensioner off, alternator off, mop up this oil, and then I'm going to change that cam belt while I'm in here. And since I'm going to change that cam belt, I might as well bang in some new hydros, tensioners and the water pump. Okay, we've got the van jacked up, no axle stands yet, but I've got the wheel off so we can see in here. And one thing I can see is that we've had a bit of rubbing on this cable from the tyre. It's not gone through, but that'll could get water in, so that'll be patched. Everything that was fitted on the last big build up, which was the new bushers, wishbones and anti-roll bar kit, that's all still where I put it, and that's kind of fine. There's no 3-point steering rack, everything's nice and solid, good visual check, and there's the tensioner, which does not want to turn more than that. So yeah, that's C, so that's coming off. This will be off. We're going to get in there for the cam belt, alternator off, and I'm going to take this out of the way because we don't need it when we're not driving. Okay, now this isn't a approved method of undoing the crankshaft nut, but you can wedge a socket and wrench on it, and you can put the wrench on the drive shaft, turn the key, and fingers crossed it will spin and smack the nut off for me. I just need to somehow turn the key while filming this. Hang on, put a bit of pressure on there and hopefully it won't jump off. Yeah, go for it. Oh, hang on, wrong way. Yeah, duh. Yeah, I think that's better. It's under drive shaft, and then if I press for this, I should be able to keep it on so it don't just try jumping off, and turn it. Yep. Again. Yep, I think that's got it. There we are. That's all it needed. all because I couldn't find my whizzy gun. Now what I have just found when I've come to pull this off is it doesn't want to pull off, but I can actually turn it. See, that's the thing turning on the crankshaft. There, you see. So the keyway must be f***ed. Well, that should be a bit better than that. Doesn't seem too bad, but that keyway doesn't even seem to have much of a key in it. While I'm down here, I'm going to throw the pulley back on. I'm just going to turn it so the keyway points upwards. Okay, it's possibly from the heat, but the one down here has been very easy to undo. The one in there is being an absolute mare. Now then, sometimes when you get toolkits, you get cheap little sockets with 1/4 inch extensions on, which make them 6mm. So they will fit in, and then you can turn this. So I'm hoping that I can put this into there, which that was hard to do on camera. You don't want to go in. That's going to get whacked with a hammer, and then I'm going to try and put something bigger on this to turn this, because I think that's kind of heat seized in with the whole thing getting hot. Right, don't want to come out, but I'm not giving it a choice. Right, I'm still not winning with this. I still can't get that to unscrew. We had this one out. I've gone under here and I've screwed the adjuster all the way up to the van, so this bottom piece is now free to move. I'm hoping if I tap this and I can rock this side to side, that might free that off. Well, I've knocked it that way, which will tighten it up, so now knock it the other way. And there we are, I've knocked it the other way, so friggin' Allen keys. Right, we'll have a go again, because it's been mission impossible so far. So oh, we moved. Oh, I think we're on to a winner. Right, where's my 6? There we go. Right. That's a bit wobbly. I hope that's not sheared that bolt. No, it's still in. Yeah, sometimes these old tricks can really get you out this shit, otherwise I'd have been having to drill this or something. It's just handy to know. If you can't move the bolt, the fastener, call it what you want, move the item. And all I had to do to move that item was screw that adjuster all the way up so the bottom was free to move, and you can see some rust got in behind there, hasn't there? Maybe a bit of copper sweat when that goes back on, eh? And here's this failed item. It's not much of a wheel now, is it? You can see it's been throwing its grease out before it died a death. So I'm guessing the seal packed up and then it went, so yeah. It turns now, it's off. And now it's all nice and free again, ish. Maybe I should save some money and just put it back on. Oh, look at the shit coming out of that. That's burnt grease, it's all carbon and... Oh yeah. Anybody want to make a pencil? Right, we've got a bit further on. We took all the plastic panels off, so there we can now see more of the belt, and the, where's my finger, the water pump's going to be taken out. That's going to get swapped while I'm doing this job. There's no point doing half a job now and another half in end of summer while it's up. We'll have that water pump out since we're changing cambelt. I'll be changing tensioners and idlers as well, because they come with kit. Odd that they throw idlers in but not water pump, and you can buy some kits with water pump and no idlers. It's just so they make you buy two frigging products. Anyhow, this has been slackened off. Just about to pull that bolt out. The engine's supported by the jack and an invisible block of wood. We've still got some numbers just visible on timing belt, so we should be able to get a nice match for the next one, get a part number off that and get the same one. So all I've got to do now is get locking pins in these holes, which isn't 100% necessary, but since all you need is an old bolt to shove in or an Allen key or something, why not? No need to buy expensive pins. Well, now it's off. My next job, sorry for being a bit Blair Witch there, 10mm bolt, 10mm bolt, 10mm bolt, 10mm bolt, plenty more 10mm bolts, well the 6mm threaded but 10mm head, and take this belt cover off. Some people sometimes forget to put the top half of those back on, or they snap them here at the bottom and then the bottom half's missing. I had one with the bottom half missing, and when the alternator belt went, it jumped inside here, it went under the cam belt and it pulled with such force on the end of the cam, it snapped the sprocket, and where it went to the cam, it just snapped the cam to bits, and that was the end of that car. And it's a shame, because I like that car. Now to hand, I just happen to have a couple of M8 Gulch bolts, and you can screw them through the hole there in the diesel pump pulley into that casting there, and that means this is on its timing mark. That's nothing to do with diesel pump timing, that's just pulley timing. You can still adjust the diesel pump timing by undoing these nuts on it and turning the pump, and there's the cam one locked in position as well. With them in that position, down here we can see that that notch doesn't point up towards the cam. It looks as though it's a notch out. I've got no idea if that is a notch out. I need to maybe check that. While adding these pins or bolts is a great way to preserve the cam belt timing, because it just can't possibly move enough to be even one notch out, because the notches are so far apart, they're kind of a centimetre apart. You're not going to get a centimetre variation when the hole's only 8mm wide, and the gap around the bolt is another mil or two, so at the most you might get a 2mm variation, but that's not going to cause you to put the belt on wrong. What I need to find now, because I'm not quite sure about that crank timing, is I need to get underneath and try and find where the pin goes from the gearbox side into the flywheel to kind of set the static timing on that. Another method, and I always think two methods are better than one, it's the old saying of 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Find yourself a paint pen. They're easy enough to buy from any stationers, and put a dot on the belt and the cam at the back. I have one dot on there. Here on the diesel pump I have 2 dots on the belt and the pulley, and that will keep those in step even if you don't have bolts. But 2 is 1, don't go skimping on bolts, it's not as though they're expensive, and there won't be some throwing about in your toolbox. So 1 at the back, 2 at the front, and then 3 down here, because you don't want to just use 1 dot on the belt, transfer them dots to the new belt, and then you don't know which dot is which dot. So if you go 1, 2, 3, it's impossible to cock it up. Yeah, because I didn't think that was straight, but checking it now. Where's it gone? There's it gone. Yep, I'd say that's straight to centre it cam. Don't think you're supposed to use string, but it does work. Well, after much tugging, pulling, hammering and battering, I've managed to get the rocker cover, camshaft cover off. We've got some oil up here, which is a good thing, and none of them seem to be dry, so everything's kind of good. These gaskets on here are known for going hard over time, and then they don't seal, and you start to get oil dripping out the back of them, down the back of the engine, and well, eventually onto the floor. Not good. Now then, once you've got your old belt off, what you want to do is transfer the marks from this side of the belt to that side of the belt. Now that you've got your marks on your belt all set up, focus camera, you can transfer them onto the new belt. And if you think about this a bit beforehand, try to put them where there's going to be no print on the belt, because that'll make them just a bit easier to see. And make sure you put the belts side by side and all the notches match up, and you haven't got a puffed up bit like that, if you see what I mean, causing swacking belt. Make sure it's tensioned, equal, smooth, all in line. Once you've got your belt off, you can then go and unbolt all the other bits and pieces. The water pumps, very easy with just 5 bolts, holding that on and the gasket behind it. The tensioner for the cam belt, very easy, but there's a spring that pushes down on this bit, and when you take this off, your spring's going to come out the casing. The other issue with that casing is it's bolted over this bolt hole here, so you can undo these two easy, and then you can take that one out, but you need to undo the other ones on the side of this casing, because it's kind of set up kind of that way. So what this spring goes into here is bolted through there, so you need to slacken this off, which forms part of the actual engine mounting. So you need to slacken that off, get a screwdriver behind and open it out a bit so you can get this out, then get this off, but then that shoots out, so that's going to have to be held back in when the new one of these goes on. I can see that's going to cause a bit of cursing and swearing, but we'll get by that.